Nice to see you. Hiya, hiya. I see everybody in the chat, even the people that are here unwillingly. Hi, you guys. Don't even, just ignore my lighting right now. Ignore everything. Just ignore everything. Ignore me. Yeah, I'm still working on this. I don't know why my light is either, it has two speeds, surface of the sun and black hole. So I don't know. Hi, Alara. Hi, everybody. I have kind of a shorter list of links to go through tonight because I don't know, I kind of felt, well, first of all, there are so many people out here now doing these YouTube channels where they're going over all of this information and doing such a bang up job that I don't, I've watched a bunch of my friends this week. I watched White Hat, I watched, 1 Foot in 5D and the Space Force News. I watched Victoria just a few minutes ago. I watched, whatever. So everybody does such a great job going over all this stuff. I try not to go over everything and just beat it to death. But I also felt kind of compelled this week to share something just like this story in my life that helped me, and like this life lesson that I learned keeps coming up to me this week. And so I'm like, I'm gonna share that on my channel, but we're gonna go through the links first, and then there are also a couple things that I wanted to address. But also another reason why I kept it the links few tonight is because I actually have some exciting news that I just found out a few minutes ago actually got postponed. But if you guys have seen Pink Patriot Hour, Alara of Sirius, she's 1 Foot in 5D in my chat right now. She did it with a girl named Livin. It's awesome. I'm watching some of these channels like 1 Foot in 5D, like Pink Patriot Hour, like Journey to Truth, like, whatever. And they are just like crushing it, doing interviews and all of this exciting stuff. And you guys know I've been talking about doing interviews for a while. Anyway, Livin is, I think, moving on to something else. And so the idea came up to move Pink Patriot Hour to my channel, since my channel is already demonetized. And Pink Patriot Hour probably will never get monetized because we talk about the same kind of content. So in order to keep it separate, and because I'm really excited to have that, I'm not sure how the format is going to work, but I'm just really excited to have that. That'll be Wednesday nights on this channel, so at the same time, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 Eastern. You'll come to the Kate Awakening channel, and that's where you'll find Pink Patriot Hour, I believe. So that might not start until the first week of September, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up because that's really exciting. And so that we were anticipating doing something maybe tomorrow on that. So I was like, oh, well, I can go over a lot of the headlines tomorrow, but now that is no longer happening. But anyway, so in 2 weeks, not tomorrow and not the next week, but the following week, we will be starting Pink Patriot Hour on this channel. So that's really exciting news. The second thing that I wanted to bring up is that next week I will be speaking at 2 different conferences in Jacksonville, Florida. If you're anywhere by there or want to be, the first one is called Red Pill Roadshow, and I don't have a link for you guys. I should probably have a link. Hold on, let me look up a link. Red Pill Roadshow, and that is on Tuesday the 24th, I think. Here we go. Here's a link to that. And this was it's Tuesday, August 25th. And then the next day in the very same venue is QCon Live. So here's the link to Red Pill Roadshow, QCon Live. And again, that was also kind of a last minute thing. Because I was doing Red Pill Roadshow, they were like, oh, well, do you want to talk on a panel the next day in the same venue? I was like, yeah, sure. So I don't have a link for that, but watch my Twitter. I will make sure to put it up there. Maybe now that they've reinstated Louder with Crowder, you might have a chance. Hey, K. Scotty. Yeah, I don't know, maybe. So if you're anywhere by Jacksonville, Florida, and want to come see me talk, come on out. It would be awesome to see you. So those are the first couple things. Again, I'll have more links. I think I'll have a link to tickets and stuff going up on my Facebook and or not Facebook, Facebook, on my Twitter after the show. And I will put up a promo to it also. I really just kind of want to go through these links quickly. Most of this you've probably seen. Everything is linked below, so if you're interested in it more than I talk about, you can go ahead and check it out. I missed your meme contest. I would have lost it anyway. You know that. But that's awesome. So I don't know if you guys saw that Marjorie Taylor Greene, vocal supporter of QAnon conspiracy, wins Georgia GOP runoff. So this has been going around. People have been, obviously in the mainstream media, have just been like tearing her apart because she talks openly about the truth and is, you know, has advocated for Q, I guess. And so this actually is from The Hill. And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't John Solomon from The Hill, and then he started Just the News? So The Hill used to be better, but now it's apparently garbage. And they're talking about, you know, her bigoted rhetoric and embrace of the QAnon conspiracy theory. Her rhetoric that they're talking about was when she compared Democratic donor George Soros to a Nazi, but he worked with the Nazis. He literally stole from Jewish people on behalf of the Nazis. And I don't even know. I don't even think I wrote down the rest of that quote. Anyway, she is not the first person nor the last that we will have running for important positions that follows Q. We are getting bigger and bigger. The more people that catch on, the more people that research. Once you actually research it, you're like, oh yeah, okay, this is true. Obviously, everybody wants you to take one look at it and go like screaming and hiding under your bed. But we're gonna see more of this, and good for her. I'm glad to see that. Chicago, I have an article below about Chicago spending $66 million. That includes using a politically connected construction firm that charged $5.1 million, converting McCormick Place into a COVID hospital that treated just 38 patients. That's $1.7 million per patient. And $50 million more was spent on 3 other facilities that were literally never used. They never treated a single patient. So a lot of people get very confused with just all of this craziness they're seeing. How is Trump allowing this? How is Trump allowing this? He is allowing it because he is allowing these people to expose themselves. He is letting people that live in Democrat-run cities and states watch their leaders run their city and state into the ground, and there's really no other way to show people to the extent of that's going to get them to really wake up and smell the coffee, smell the covfefe. So you know, Chicago is one of the worst we've seen. I believe Chicago hasn't had a Republican mayor since like the 30s. And and also they're asking for money. They're asking for government bailouts. So they have no idea how to run their budget. Like you wouldn't even win your run for student body president senior year if you spent all the money like that junior year. What kind of high school is that? I want to go to that high school. $66 million. In contrast, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem thanked President Trump for offering federal assistance to her state to mitigate damage from the coronavirus pandemic, but she said it's not needed thanks to her state's healthy economy because they never shut down. She said, my administration is very grateful to Donald Trump for the additional flexibility that the lost wages assistance would have provided, but South Dakota is in the fortunate position of not needing to accept it. Yeah, she said the state is in good shape. South Dakota's economy, never having been shut down, has recovered nearly 80% of our job losses. We're the only state in the nation that didn't have extended unemployment benefits kick in because our insured unemployment rate has been the lowest in the nation. So there's a contrast. Obviously, there's a massive difference between Illinois and South Dakota, both in population, et cetera, but it does make it pretty clear that what what happens if you don't close everything down. I'm actually going to skip ahead to one of my last links just because this is a good time to mention it. I came across this really great thread by a guy named Graham Neary, and it's basically about how the model to shut down the world, basically, over CV was based on literally just 6 cases. 6 people who tested positive on 6 different flights, and that's where they based their model on how many millions of people were going to die, et cetera, et cetera. So go take a look at that thread when you get a chance. Looking at the chat really fast. Hi, guys. Nice, 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 nice. Okay. Where was I? Oh, some of the other big news this week. Kevin Kleinsmith pleads guilty to falsifying evidence to spy on Trump. So we still have people in the mainstream media that are saying, oh, there's no evidence of broad anti-Trump conspiracy, but we have a guy literally pleading guilty to falsifying evidence for the FISA so that they could spy on Trump and his campaign. So there were some connections to Q here. People were posting back to an 11/3 marker. A lot of people, of course, were speculating that would be November 3rd, but 11 happens to be, or K happens to be the 11th letter in the alphabet, and C is the 3rd, so 11/3 could also mean KC. You do the math. And then also there's another Trump post where it actually says KC and then it has arrows leading to, so basically like as if that's the first indictment, it leads to HRC, Bill, Huma, and who was the 4th? Cheryl Mills, maybe? I could be wrong on that. Anyway, so this is now, we've now got our first placeholder, KFC. So that's exciting news. I've got a link below from a Cheryl Atkinson article about 28 million mail-in ballots that went missing in the last 4 elections. So just more on this mail-in ballot nonsense that they want us to do. They literally, I don't know if you guys saw the videos or the pictures of the people that were actually out protesting voting in person, but they're all together in a crowd protesting. So it's very interesting how the virus knows the difference between where you are, who you're with, and what you're there for, because it's safe if you're out there to protest. I have some nonsense about Peter Nygard and some disgusting things he did to his children. And obviously we keep eyes on this. I also linked just a really good point. I thought this summed it up very well. A tweet by Stormy Patriot Joe. He's at Stormy Patriot 21 on Twitter. And he says, there's no evidence of elite pedos, MSM, like, because that's what they say. And that's what all these people on Twitter are saying. And then he lists Nygard, Nexium, Epstein, Maxwell, Weinstein, more to follow. We have evidence of this. And, you know, we know more. We know they are dominoes that will lead to other things. Epstein wasn't procuring. He didn't have an entire island just for himself and like his 3 buddies. This was an enterprise. And also obviously involving Ghislaine Maxwell. There was the Clearwater, Florida Trump boat parade that broke the world record as the largest boat parade in history with over 2,200 vessels. It was really cool seeing all the videos from this. It looked like a lot of fun. I really wish I could have been there. And then there was also a really funny, I saw a really funny video of a sinking boat that had Biden flags on it. And I have no idea if that's real or if that was from the same boat parade, but symbolism, dude, it was pretty good. And hysterical. Oh, somebody also posted, I posted a link to a tweet that has a graphic of this, but I thought this was interesting. The delta, which is the time differential between things, between the last Q post and this most recent one yesterday was exactly 17 days, 17 hours, 55 minutes, and 55 seconds. I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm gonna hop into the chat for a second. Are you blowing up my chat? Biden's boat would be an inflatable raft with a hole in it. It would. The gray sheet is actually still there. I have it pulled back with a chip clip right now because I was like, oh, I'll get it down later. And then I went to stand on my chair to get it down and I'm too short. So I couldn't get it. It'll come down tomorrow. I need some real curtains, yo. So I wanted to go into a couple things. One is, I wanted to talk a little bit about PSYOPs and limited hangouts, because this is something that I think some people get confused about, and I did in the beginning also. I remember being like, okay, because I remember following some people and somebody would point out like, no, they are a LARP, or they put out false information, or they pretend to be an insider when they're not, and blah, blah, blah. So I remember thinking myself, well, I mean, they still put out good information, and it's not like I'm gonna follow them off a cliff, so what does it matter if I follow them? But the more research I did into PSYOPs and limited hangouts and why they operate and how they operate, I started to get it more. There's also something to be said about the fact that Q repeatedly has said, be careful who you follow, and talked about infiltration rather than what was the thing? Infiltration rather than whatever, someone will get it. So basically, Q isn't saying be careful who you believe. Like, there's something to following some of these people. So when you have a limited hangout, or when you have okay, let's say you have an agenda. I used this metaphor the other day. If you're gonna put poison in something, are you gonna put it in a dog turd, or are you gonna put it in a piece of ripe, juicy fruit? You're gonna put it in the desirable thing, the real thing, the thing that people are gonna go for. So when you have these kind of operations, they tend to give you really good info first and foremost, and then they bury their agenda in it. So I just wanna ask you guys a question. If Q has access to intel, possibly even intel of, I even posted this today, the John McCain Q proof, where Q posted literally 30 days to the minute that John McCain would be back in the news, and then 30 days later with his hands up like this, and then 30 days later to the minute was his time of death. So we knew he was ill, and even if he was on hospice, the morning of, you still wouldn't be able to predict to the minute what time they would pass. So that's one of those future proofs past things that is one of my favorite Q proofs, because like, how can you deny that? I would love to meet a mathematician that could really like break down exactly the mathematical possibility of just guessing that and getting it on the nose to the minute. Like, the day would be even spectacular, but to the minute. So even the possibility of being able to predict things. Now, whether you want to look at that as some kind of technology where they can actually access the future, quantum computing, yellow cube, project looking glass, any of those things. Okay, so if Q possibly has access to some kind of technology or something like that, don't you think it's possible that the bad guys do too? So if the bad guys have access to basically the same information that Q has access to, don't you think that they would use that information sometimes? They would love to use that information to dazzle you and get you following the wrong people. So, okay, to address, well, whatever, I don't believe everything everyone says. So it doesn't really matter if they're a LARP or not, so I'm just going to continue to follow them. Well, there are some things about that. Number one is, what happens if one of these people, through their great information that dazzles everybody, acquires a huge following and then goes and does something crazy? That then the entire community gets taken down, and the MSM actually has something real to link this community to, and say, look at all these people in the community that follow. This is one of the biggest people in the movement. So I think that's why Q says be careful who you follow. It's not just about like, I take it with a grain of salt. So yeah, I mean, I never, ever, ever have said to anyone, if you follow this person, I'm going to unfollow you. But if I come across something, if I catch somebody red-handed actually lying, or if I see somebody else catch somebody red-handed lying or pretending to be an insider, or there is a difference also between when people do decodes or when people do predictions and they say, okay, this date is lining up with this, this, and this, and so I think this might happen on this date or something big might happen on this date, but they show their work and they're being very clear about the fact that this is just a prediction that they've made because of X, Y, and Z. That's fine. That is very different from saying this is going to happen on this day. There are some accounts that have done that in the past. It doesn't come to fruition, and then they delete their account, and then they spring up elsewhere as a new account. And some of us have learned to recognize them by the way that they speak and, you know, etc. By the fact that they're pulling the same racket that the old account pushed. So, yeah, I don't know. I hope that's clear. Whenever I usually stay out of that. I posted something today because it was very clear, and it's something that I remember from 2 years ago. I was following along, and just for total transparency, at the time I was following this person, I was one of those people that was like, well, whatever. Yeah, people say they're a LARP, but I'm still getting good information. But then I saw this unfolding, and I was like, oh, okay, this person is a total liar. Even if you had somebody in your life, let's say you had a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a husband or wife. I know you don't, because you guys are losers like me, but just say you did. And you found out that they were lying to you about something. Would you be cool with that? Would you just be like, well, they're mostly honest with me? No, when somebody lies to you, like, patriots don't lie to patriots. Patriots don't mislead patriots. That doesn't mean you don't get stuff wrong sometimes, but you don't intentionally mislead people. Yeah, and also, Dylan Wheeler is a good person to bring up here. I don't know what happened with him as far as whether his turn against Trump and Q were organic, legitimate, or whether that was the plan the entire time, or whether somebody threatened him. I have no idea. I don't even want to speculate. But the point is that had we seen red flags, I don't really think anybody saw that coming. But had somebody seen something a while back where they thought it was a red flag for him, I would expect them to say, hey guys, take a look at this. That's not being divisive. You're not dividing the community, because if somebody is an infiltrator, they're not one of us anyway. That's the whole point. And anytime anybody comes at me and says like, well, but you're being divisive. Like, no, we're not dividing the community. This is not one of us. It's important to look at this stuff. And if it wasn't, then Q wouldn't say, be careful who you follow. They would just be like, go follow everybody and kumbaya and let's all get along. No, there are people. Think about it. Use your noodle. Of course, they are going to try to infiltrate the community in any way possible. And of course, they're going to have people that are really, really good at it. They're not going to have just like sock puppet accounts that are being run by just like some Joe Schmo working out of Starbucks and is, part-time. They're going to have people that are in intelligence, and they're going to have really great information to give you and to dazzle you with and be like, well, I just follow the information. Well, good luck to you. I think that's really all I have to say about that. But I did want to address that because I think it's important. And I try very hard to be patient with people, but, and I think for the most part I am, and I also am very respectful to people, but respect is a two-way street, and once somebody is disrespectful of me, it's like gloves are off. So yeah, like I get along with most people, but when you accuse me of being divisive and you're not using your brain to be like, oh, okay, maybe there's something here, or you know what, keep moving, scroll past it. If it offends you so much, if it hurts your feelings, shut your computer. It's gonna be fine. So yeah, I don't know. So I was getting a lot of people, not a lot, but and some of the tactics of these people is that they do have sock puppet accounts that's basically them or their friends. And there have really only been 3 people, I won't name them, but 3 people who I've ever said anything kind of, well, I've said negative things about lots of people, but only 3 of them that I've gotten this very specific kind of attack where people will go into my DMs and almost try to like argue me into like getting on their side and stuff. I've got a lot of friends in this, like actual friends in this community that I back fully, and I actually know them in real life personally. I would back them, you know, on anything. If I see people going after them, I don't like try to convince them. I just, you just, it's just like not a normal thing to do. So it does seem, that, I'll address the Millie Weaver thing too in a second. But it does seem like these coordinated attacks, they all have the same kind of look and feel, and it's very interesting. Also, last week, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden the shills are just out big time. And I made a post on, I think it was a White House tweet, and just said like, that's my president or something like that with a heart, totally benign. And I was getting called a slut and a whore, and then all of a sudden I started getting this influx of men's private parts in my DMs. So if you send me a DM and it's a picture, I'm not gonna open it anymore. Sorry guys, this is why we can't have nice things. But it was pretty bad. And I don't know why. I don't know why that's the tactic, but it's pretty gross. Yeah. These are the things. These are the things that happen in my life these days. The Millie Weaver thing, I don't know. I was following that from the beginning, or, you know, when that was all unfolding. I don't really know what to think, which is why I haven't really spoken publicly about it or said anything on my Twitter about it. I just think that I really feel for her. I really hope that, I mean, that just, it hurt my heart. It hurt my heart watching her get arrested in front of her kids. And so that kind of thing is obviously going to have a psychological impact on us. So all I can really say is pray for her, and I don't know what we can do to help. But I was worried about that when I saw that. Awesome. I did watch Shadowgate. Again, I didn't, you know, sometimes when these movies come out, I tend to sit back and kind of think about them for a while before I come out and tell everybody to watch them. Again, just sometimes things get packaged really neatly, and it did kind of strike me some of the things that were left out of that movie that made me kind of worry. But all in all, the stuff in that movie was put together really well, and there was some really great information. But I kind of am going to just reserve my opinion on that for a little while. Yeah, guys. So I wanted to talk about this. This story. Okay, so all of it, I mean, I'm seeing so many of us all talking about everything kind of coming up in our lives and challenging us. And it's like every challenge, everything we've ever put off is like coming to a head right now and attacking us and getting right in our face. And I am seeing this as, maybe not all of you, but I think most people I've talked to here are all experiencing that. So one of the things that I was thinking of was how I like to think of, okay, there's that child's book, Are You My Mother? Where it's like this, I think it's like a duck and lost its mother, and it is going up to all kinds of things, and it's like, are you my mother? And I thought of that, like, but instead of mother, it's like teacher, and thinking about all of these things that come into your life, even people that are challenging you or that you think you hate or they're being awful to you, and to think of them as teachers rather than enemies. So, like, instead of asking, you know, why me, or why is this happening to me, take a step back and ask, what is this trying to teach me? And I had a very clear kind of like experience when I was in high school. that I guess taught me this, and I think about it from time to time, and I wanted to tell this story because maybe you guys have had experiences that you could relate to and maybe connect with this, so that it's a tool that you can use going forward, because it's a tool that's been very helpful to me. And you know, when I started my YouTube channel, I wanted to share the news and I wanted to go over like Q drops and things like that, but really I felt mostly compelled to connect with people and give people a community to talk about the Great Awakening and learning all of these things and being very lonely. And now we're learning more about spiritual warfare and the karmic whatever that's coming up in all of our lives. So that's why I wanted to jump into this rather than going over a million links tonight with everything that's going on. I wanted to share this with you. So I have started thinking of when all these bad things start happening to me, I'm trying to start picturing that it is my higher self, or whatever you want to think of that. You want to think of it as God, or think of God, or whatever you believe is out there that is gunning for you, that loves you, that is advocating for you, wants to see you succeed and do well. Imagine that is who sent this to you in your life, like either your higher self, your spirit guides, God, whatever you want to look at it as. For a specific reason in order to learn something. So believe it or not, I know this is going to shock everybody. When I was in high school, I was in advanced math, like very advanced math. So there weren't many teachers that taught advanced math in my high school. There might have only been one. I'm really not sure. I'm not sure if there was another one or not. But all I know is that my freshman year, I got this math teacher, because I was in advanced math, that I hated. I hated him. He was not funny. He was mean. He was super harsh. There was like no leniency. He didn't like me. He made it very obvious that he didn't like me. And I hated that class. And I was very cocky too, because I was used to not really having to try in school very much. And I was having to try in this class, and it was kind of like pushing against my ego. I was like, what the heck? Like, and I fought it with every fiber of my being, and it really started to manifest in me hating this teacher. I would have nightmares about this teacher. I hated his face. I hated how he dressed. I hated the car he drove. I hated everything. I would have anxiety before I went to this class. And I just, like, it ended up being that I almost flunked the class. He almost failed me. And so I barely escaped by the skin of my teeth. And then sophomore year happens, and I get my whatever that tells me my classes, and I have him again. And I was furious. I was so furious. And I went into that year just like with a bad attitude. And again, it started off pretty bad. And then like by the middle of the year, I actually started to try, but it was just to spite him. I was so angry at him. I was like, well, whatever, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you that I can do this, and you're going to look like a fool because I know you underestimate me, and I know you think I can't do this. So I started to kind of actually try, and I started to do well in his class. But I still didn't like him, and he still didn't like me. He was like... He was the kind of teacher you're like, I'm not even gonna say his name, but I was like, can I go to the bathroom? He'd be like, I don't know, can you? Has the burning stopped? He said that one time. Anyway, he was just prickly all over. The third year, I'm in high school. What is that called? Junior year. Junior year, same thing. I get my classes. I have him again. I'm like, are you kidding me? The universe hates my guts. I am never going to escape this man. He's probably going to follow me into college if I ever get to college, because I'm probably going to fail his class. But something kind of clicked in me. I was like, you know what? No. Challenge accepted. And again, like just to spite him, I went in actually trying. And I actually, like I was kind of looking forward to the rivalry that year. I remember going in to be like, oh, game on. And I started trying, and slowly I accidentally started to earn his respect. And it was very subtle. It wasn't like, he wasn't like, oh, good job, kiddo. It was like just the difference between and moving on, I was like, and I started to kind of like get a high from his class. And, you know, just almost this look of like, okay, you did it, was like all I needed to be like, yes, it felt so good. Like these little tiny nods of approval. It was so stupid, but I worked my ass off that year. And I really realized that I was working my ass off for his respect. And it was not given easily. It really wasn't. But by senior year, I was really excited to see him. And because I had him again senior year. And I looked at his class in a new way. And it wasn't that he was being any easier on me. If anything, he was actually being harder on me. But, you know, even just like looking back to junior year, when he started to call on me for the first time, it was like nothing. But he called on me when I raised my hand. It was like, that felt like everything. But it wasn't even about him. It wasn't about the rush of getting his approval, or even that I really, you know, needed the approval of this teacher. It was that for the first time, I think ever, I actually was persevering and like working very hard, and realized how good it can feel when you work hard. I think it was the first time I ever felt proud of myself for something that wasn't totally, completely shallow. and you know, you can say he taught me that. I mean, I still look back on him as one of my favorite teachers, definitely top 3 favorite teachers. Ultimately, by that senior year, it was completely different. He would joke around with me senior year, and I was like, I'm in. And then I saw him being mean to other people, and I was like, yeah, I know that. I remember that. He likes me, and it felt so good. So, you know, I say that because I wanted to tell that story, just because for me, that was what highlighted, like, I looked at him as being an evil person. I thought he was a demon sent to destroy me. And ultimately, he was one of the best teachers I ever had, not just in school, but in life, because he taught me how to persevere and to work hard, and how good that felt. So, I don't know. That has been really kind of keeping me good. It keeps popping into my head. So I'm like, I'm going to talk about that. And I hope it helps you, or makes a connection for you. Sometimes hearing other people's stories, this is why past life regressions are so interesting and why they're so helpful, is that for some reason they're always a metaphor for whatever you're going through in your life, but you can view it from a distance. So that's why I think this human connection, while we're going through all of this crazy stuff, is really important to be talking to each other, because we will learn things from each other. There have been so many times since then, I've had somebody come into my life, and I'll immediately judge them. I'll immediately judge what it is that they can bring to my life, or whatever. And I've been so surprised by the people that bring the most to me, and the people that have taught me the most and have been the biggest growing experience for me, are people that I completely underestimated or thought were completely unimportant at first. So that is helping me now, because there are so many things coming at me in my life right now. And last week I was feeling the why me. I was feeling, why is this all happening to me? Am I being punished? Am I, you know, whatever. And something kind of snapped, and then I was like, oh no, these are all just lessons. Earth is like a big school, and we're here for to learn and to grow. And without all of the challenges, we don't do that. The lesson here is to be mean to Kate to earn her respect. You know, you're really not far off on that. I actually love when people rib me, and kind of, I kind of like that. I mean, obviously not when people are nasty or like disrespectful, but like I like the challenge. Maybe that was something that teacher, you know, like not in a sick way, but like I like that. Diss track, what is that? Oh, hey, Sports Bra, you long time no see. I had some really intense dreams last night, had a negative greeting, and had some negative vibes all day. Yeah, that's that's it's hard to sometimes to pull yourself out of those, you know. I've had some really nasty dreams that I've thought about for days and weeks afterwards. And one of the things that I learned through the whole hypnosis thing and kind of learning more about dreams, obviously I think I'm learning more now that dreams are more prophetic than I thought, and that there is maybe some kind of real element to maybe we are astral projecting when we have some dreams. But lots of dreams that we have are really just a garbage dump for anything that we pick up throughout the day. So we are picking up information, we call them message units, but it's all these little pieces of data are coming in through all of your senses, and you know, through your own conscious mind, all of these things. If there's a TV on in the next room, you might not be consciously listening to it or even consciously aware that it's there, but your subconscious is picking up on it. So all of these things start to fill up in the subconscious. It's part of the reason why we need sleep, is because we need to vent them out. And when they get vented out, sometimes, I mean, it's just like throwing out your garbage. There's no, you don't organize it. Sometimes it's completely unorganized. So that's why dreams tend to not make much sense. Or you'll be with one person this second, and then all of a sudden it's a different person. Or you'll be in one place, and then all of a sudden you're in a different place. So a lot of those times when you have those really nasty dreams and you're like, what is wrong with me? Why did I have that dream? It's the best thing you can do is really let it go, because it could be just a venting dream where who knows if like Maury Povich was on in the next room and they were talking about some terrible thing that some terrible person was doing. Your subconscious picked it up, and then through venting it out, you actually dream about it, and you're the person in the scenario, and then you're like, what is wrong with me? So yeah, those really messed up dreams, I tend to just let it go. And then also, when you have that messed up dream and it gets to you, then you dwell on it, and you guess what you're doing? You're putting it back into your subconscious. It's like going out to your curb, going through your garbage, and be like, I need this, and then bringing it back in your house and plopping it down on the floor. It's all got to go again. So that's why we have those really nasty dreams. Tend to be reoccurring. Kate sleeps with Maury on. Does Maury even still exist? Astro Lounge. You gotta have a password. Yeah, I forgot. Alara is this like, what are you? You're like an extraterrestrial celebrity in the astral plane. Astro Lounge would be so cool. I want to do that. I want to be at there. I very rarely remember my dreams now. But I think Christina, I don't know if Christina's here, but Christina brought up last night in Keystone's chat that, yeah, I don't rap, Dominic, that to keep a dream journal. And that was something that I used to do, and it's really good. It's also, it's beneficial for a number of reasons. One is that, you know, you get better at remembering your dreams. Once you get better at your dreams, remembering your dreams, you also can get better at lucid dreaming. When you're like writing down, you get in the habit of taking note of certain details, and the more details you get in the habit of taking in, the more likely I think you can get into that lucid dreaming. And oh, Love by the Moon, I like that question. I'll get to that in just a second. And then the other reason is that when you're just waking up, you're still kind of in that venting stage. So I would also write down things in the morning that I wanted to let go of, and it would help. It was a nice release. On the same, whatever, writing down things that you want to remember, or things that you want to instill in yourself, like a habit you're trying to give yourself, like a good habit. Writing those things down before bed is a good idea. Now I lost the question. I'll find it. Love by the Moon asks, what is the most important thing to you at this present moment? Well, hands down, it would be my kid, and his future, and the future of our country and our world, I guess. So That's something I actually have written down and that I go back to, and I remind myself of that. So I'm really glad that you asked that question, because when I start to sweat the small stuff, or when like the petty things start to get to me, I'm like, okay, what is my mission? And then it's like, oh yeah, that shit doesn't matter. Just stay focused on these things. I started praying at night following advice from Praying Medic, and immediately started having more intense dreams. Rarely even remember dreams before. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't seen Plandemic 2. Interesting. Yeah, and the best, like, keep the journal right next to your bed, because even if you like stand up, some of the stuff gets wiped. You literally have to like go like this, like grab it off your bedside table and be like, and just start writing it as soon as you wake up, which is not an easy thing to do, or not an easy habit to get into, because a lot of us like first like, I have to pee, or then we reach for our phone, or it's like coffee time. We have that first thought that gets into our head in the morning, and then we forget to do that. Makes me think of those "My Dreams Have Meaning" memes. Oh, I don't remember those. Kate's good at infiltrating dreams. I wish. Dude, I would come and visit every single one of you. I would have parties. I would come knock on your little bedroom door, and I'd be like, come on, dude, it's time to party. And I'd grab you by your sideburns, and I'd be like, we're going to ESETI or Alara's whatever she said lounge. How fun would that be? It wouldn't be so lonely. We'd be like, okay, whatever. Sometimes, like, when I start having those really vivid dreams, or I start having like a dream where I feel like I am meeting up with somebody, I start to look forward to going to bed at night. I'm like, whatever, life sucks, I'm going to bed. Which probably isn't the greatest thing, and maybe that's why we don't remember, because maybe we would just be like, screw this world. let's go hang out in that world. Mushroom dreams are the best. Like dreaming about mushrooms, or dreaming while you're on mushrooms? Yeah, I would probably poke people. Oh, if I could be invisible, are you kidding me? I would mess with people so bad. I would hide all your stuff. I'd put it in the refrigerator. I'd freeze all your underwear. I would do other things that doesn't involve a refrigerator or a freezer. Yeah, let's all go to bed tonight with the intention of meeting up, and let's see how many people that we can meet up. You can control your dream when knowing you're in a dream, and if you get woken up, you can focus on it and dream it more and pick it up where you left off. I am unable to do that. My uncle actually is very good at lucid dreaming, and my mom can't, this is so funny. She can't fly, but she can bounce. So she can kind of fly for like a little distance, but she can't fly completely. She has to like bounce. But even that I'm jealous of. I was like, that sounds super fun. If I could do that, I'd be sleeping all the time. Moon bounce at the Astral Lounge party. You have to know the person, or at least see their face before. Actually, I used to have not reoccurring dreams, but I used to have a reoccurring character in a lot of my dreams that was a guy I had literally never met before. And he was so real. And you know how when you're in a dream, like I said, the people change. It'll be like one person 1 second and then another the next. He never changes. I was always just with him, and I had so much fun with him. He was so real. He was like my buddy. He was so real that I actually I went and looked him up on Facebook to see if I could find him. I was like, sure. I was like, I'm just going to type in his name and find him, because I know he's real, and I couldn't find him. But I had dreams about him for a very long time, and they were always really different. He was very comforting. I felt like I knew him. Like I said, we'd had a lot of fun together. He was just my friend. And then one day he kind of went away, and which is fine, but I actually would wake up missing him. I'd be like, oh, and his name was Gabriel. I would wake up missing him, be like, oh, I kind of miss Gabriel, you know, like just like if you had a friend and then you like knew you could never find them again, it would bum you out. Then a couple months ago, so I started, I don't know what this is. There's a word for it. What is it? Where it not when you're telepathic, not when you can read minds, but when you can hear voices. Wait, do I need to go? Shut it down, guys. Kate's hearing voices. No, but like as I was falling asleep in that space just between being awake and falling asleep, all of a sudden, not in my brain, but in my ear, I could hear, it was almost like somebody tuning into a radio station really quickly, and I could hear a conversation in my ear. And you know, it typically wouldn't make any sense. It wouldn't even necessarily be a voice that I recognize. It was just like I was tuning into a frequency where somebody else was speaking, and could just hear it for a brief second. And when I hear it, it obviously startles me enough that it wakes me up out of that state, and it goes away instantly. But schizophrenic, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Clairaudient, thank you. So one night a couple months ago, I was going to bed, and all of a sudden in my ear, I hear this pretend person, Gabriel, that I used to dream about, go, "Yo, Kate." And I could see him sitting in a chair, and there's an older guy standing next to him. Just for that brief second, I could literally see him. That I was seeing him in my mind, but the voice I heard actually in my ear. I saw him sitting there, and he's looking at me, and there's an older guy, and as soon as he says that, the older guy turns and looks at me too, and that was it. It went away instantly. But yeah, that's really interesting. I don't know. Is this one of my spirit guides? Is this an angel of some sort? Is this? He doesn't. I mean, he's not what I would think of as an angel. He's like a younger guy. I think he even wears Converse. He's just not like wings and like flowing dresses. So I don't know. But I think that's interesting. Yeah, maybe he's my spirit guide. It would be really cool if he was, because he's a lot of fun. And I would like to have a fun spirit guide. It would be I'd be kind of bummed if I like went and met my spirit guide and they were like super boring. But yeah, as far as I know, this person doesn't exist, and every feature about him, it never changes. It always, you know, his face is very clear in my mind. Astral cougar. No. It ain't like that. I saw a video of a guy that talked about the government having the ability to talk to people through frequencies. This was back in the 60s. Yeah. Have you guys ever seen the movie Frequency? That was really good. Wasn't it Jim Caviezel and maybe, I could be wrong. I thought it was Jim Caviezel and whatever, but this guy finds a radio, and he fixes it. It was his dad's, and he fixes it, and his dad passed away when he was a kid, and somehow the frequency matches up to his dad in the 60s, and so he can actually talk to his dad through this radio in present time. It's a really good movie. I love that movie. Yeah, voice to skull or voice of God tech. Thanks, Rob, and hi. Yeah, I love that movie. I swear to God, 90s? I think 90s were the best movies. They stopped being good in the early 2000s. And like they just started to peak. Like obviously 80s movies have my heart because I grew up in the 80s, but they were also really lame. But movies in the 90s started getting really sophisticated, I feel like. And then that sophistication turned into, we're just gonna be weird and dark to be weird and dark. Like you're gonna leave the movie theater and you're gonna feel like crap and you're gonna be confused and you're gonna like have to pretend with all your cerebral friends like you got it, but really you're just like, I didn't get it, that was weird. That's what started happening in the early 2000s as far as I'm concerned. But 90s movies were like really, yeah, and like cinematography in the 90s were the best. It was just all around, it was the best period for movies, I think. The 80s were lame. The 80s were lame, but that's what made them great. So lame. Well, guys, I have been yakety schmackety for almost an hour now. So let's review. Not next week and not the week after that, but the week after that in 3 weeks, Pink Patriot Hour, but I'll obviously be reminding you because I'll be live. Not next week. I don't think I'll be live next week because I'll be in Florida. If I can find a chance to go live, I will do it. But I think Tuesday is the actual conference, so it won't be Tuesday. So if you're anywhere by Jacksonville and you want to come see me speak at either the Red Pill Roadshow or QCon Live, check that out. I'm going to put those links on my Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, Kate_Awakening. I'm starting to like force myself to be more active on Instagram because I was talking to some friends this morning and we were talking about the demographic on there is like way younger, and I feel like those are some important people that we need to reach. So I'm like forcing myself to be more active on Instagram. So Kate_Awakening. We'll start getting more stuff over there. What else? Did I go over everything? Yes. All right, great, you guys. Well, I love all of you, and I hope you have a really great week or two until I see you next. And yeah, see you soon.